As times have progressed, queer representation in media certainly has too. This is especially evident in Alfred Hitchcock's 1948 psychological crime thriller film Rope and James Ivory's 1987 romantic drama Maurice. In Rope, two classmates, Brandon and Philip, kill their friend David because they feel they are intellectually superior. They hide his body in a chest and invite friends over for a dinner party in order to prove themselves to have committed the perfect crime. By the end of the movie, this backfires, with their friend Rupert stumbling upon the truth and notifying the police. Within the film, there is significant subtext which suggests that Brandon and Philip were gay and likely in a relationship with one another. This is demonstrated through character blocking, actor behavior, and clever dialogue riddled with innuendos. The two act more as an old bickering couple than as friends. And well, why wasn't the relationship between Brandon and Philip explicitly portrayed? For one, the Hays Code, a guideline for films between 1934 and 1968, prohibited displays of homosexuality, among other things, like profanity, nudity, realistic violence, and rape. Furthermore, homosexuality was not accepted by society by and large in the 1940s and 1950s. As a result, even if the Hays Code did not exist, a film explicitly depicting homosexuality would never have been able to be produced. Just one example of a targeted campaign against the LGBTQ community during an adjacent time was the Lavender Scare. This movement to, quote, begin purging government of homosexuals began in 1950 and is highlighted by President Eisenhower's 1953 declaration that gay people were a threat to the country and unfit for a government role. As a result of this, tens of thousands of workers would come to lose their jobs. The opening sequence of Rope establishes Brandon's and Philip's relationship. The beginning of this sequence indicates a partnership between Brandon and Philip right from the get-go. Following David's murder, a close-up shot transitions to reveal the two men, with Philip on the left and Brandon on the right. Brandon checks David's heartbeat, then orders Philip to open the trunk. This placement within the frame and the body language suggests that Brandon is on the more leading and dominant force within the two's relationship. The two men place the body into the trunk, and then share nothing but silence and heavy breathing. Their shared exhaustion suggests a deeper connection. Later on in the scene, a medium shot depicts Brandon turning on a light, which Philip then declines. This contributes to the idea that Philip is largely being persuaded by Brandon to accomplish such drastic behavior like murder and the subsequent cover-up which it entails. Additionally, it can be read as Philip keeping his emotions hidden from Brandon in the dark. This is further supported by Brandon asking if they
Let's stay this way for a minute.
A long shot then shows Brandon as he opens the curtains, then proudly stares out the windows. His pride can be interpreted as for the murder, as well as for his partnership with Philip. Maurice takes place in Edwardian England, in which a Cambridge boy named Maurice becomes friends with resident rich boy Clive Durham. The two embark on a romantic partnership very early on, and over the course of a few years, drift apart due to geographical separation and fears of their own relationship being discovered. Clive eventually splits from Maurice and then marries a woman, fearing that he will lose all his prestige and be sent to jail if he is found a gay man. Maurice is left heartbroken.
What an ending! What's gonna happen to me? I'm done for.
Eventually even seeking out psychotherapy to possibly cure his own gayness. However, this proves ineffective and only causes him nightmares. After a rough start, Maurice winds up in a relationship with Clive's servant, Alec Scudder. Maurice ends with a partnership between Alec and Maurice. It is important to note that Maurice is a period film, so the societal attitudes demonstrated within the film do not represent the societal attitudes when the film was created. While homophobia certainly did exist on a wide scale in the late 80s, being gay was not the sort of thing that would have wound you up in jail for years and stripped of all your titles. The biggest difference between the portrayal of homosexuality in Maurice and Rope is the level of explicitness. Societal's overall perception of the LGBT community was very different 39 years after the release of Rope. without the Hays Code, which ended 20 years earlier in 1968, filmmakers were not prohibited from demonstrations of gay relationships. The gay rights movement saw some incredible progress in the 39-year span from Maurice to Rope. In 1961, homosexuality was decriminalized in Illinois, which would soon be followed by other states. A variety of protests were held in the 1960s for gay rights. Famously, the 1969 raid of the Stonewall Inn led to 5 days of protest and was a catalyst for the creation of many LGBT organized groups. In 1979, over 100,000 people participated in a march on Washington for lesbian and gay rights. Whereas Maurice makes you feel sympathetic for the main characters and their struggles, the main characters in Rope are largely unlikable. They represent intellectually elite men who believe killing is justified. This makes viewers feel off-put and repulsed by their characters, as murder is abominable and irreversible, and to do so just for the heck of it is particularly loathsome. Brandon, particularly, is incredibly prideful in spite of just having murdered a man in cold blood. Philip is the only character who viewers can sympathize with, as he is nervous, guilty, and appears to have been coerced by Brandon into the murder, or partnership altogether, depending on how far you wish to read into it. Even if someone picked up on the gay subtext within Rope, the portrayal of the two men, chiefly as murderers, is less than savory. This plays into the common trope of gay villains, which can be seen in old films like Ben-Hur, newer shows like Sherlock, and basically every Disney villain ever. It feeds into tropes which create a fear of gay people by suggesting that gay men inherently strive to seduce heterosexual men. This is highlighted by how coerced Philip appears, along with the relationship between Brandon and Rupert, in which Brandon's obsession with Rupert's approval and discovery of his murder can be read as seduction. However, Rupert is the quote-unquote hero of the movie, and as such, he reports the pair of murderers to the police. Contrastingly, Maurice is a character study focused on the emotions and relationships of characters over the course of several years. The audience, by the very nature of this, is meant to feel sympathetic for each of these multidimensional, layered characters. We feel sympathetic for Maurice because he loves Clive and can't stand to be separated from him. We feel sympathetic for Clive because he loves Maurice, but can't stand to lose his entire life, or worse, put Maurice in a compromising situation. Even in the end of the movie, Clive is left on the inside looking out, stuck in a friendly yet loveless marriage with his wife Anne. We feel for Scudder, who feels like the second choice, and some lowlife in comparison to Mr. Durham. All of this sympathy felt for the gay characters humanizes them and makes their struggle feel personal. In this way, Maurice was even ahead of its time. Many of the shots in this film have inspired later films, like Luca Guadagnino's 2017 hit film Call Me By Your Name. Overall, we can see the two films are representative of larger societal shifts towards acceptance of the LGBTQ community and societal liberalism from 1948 to 1987. In this way, films are a fascinating look into the everyday thoughts and realities of different groups of people.